post these recordings to our website. So let everybody know that these recordings usually fairly quickly are posted to our website. All right, doesn't look like we have so many folks joining right now, so we're a couple minutes late, so we'll just go ahead and rock and get started. So good morning, everybody. You probably know me. You deal with me all the time. I'm Becky with the BHA and JBBS. Thank you for being here today. If you are new to our group, this is the JBBS quarterly meeting. I'm going to go ahead and let anybody that is also here, including my colleagues Joel and Kelly, introduce themselves. So Joel, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Joel Miller. I'm one of the 3 JBBS program managers with the BHA. Excited to see everybody here, and I guess I'll pass it over to Kelly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Russell. I'm one of the other program managers for JBBS. And as always, we appreciate everybody hopping on and joining us today. So thanks for being here.
And I'm Karen Chappell. I am the new fentanyl education person. So JBBS and myself will work together in figuring that piece out, but you probably will hear from us. Me.
Now I think we have Athena on. Athena, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Athena Pappas. I'm responsible for getting out the FY24 JBBS amendments and contracts. And I also process the JBBS invoices after Becky approves them and sends them to me for processing.
Thanks, Athena. Looks like we have Danielle joining, but she's still working on connecting to audio, so I'll give her a second. Anybody else from the BHA other than Danielle connecting to audio?
I could say hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Taylor. My pronouns are she and her. And I am the recovery officer helping out with some programs that are supported through some stimulus dollars, which is some of our JBBS programs.
Thanks, Sam. Looks like we have Joe. Joe?
Everyone, I'm Joe Asen. I work with Athena and Sam on actually getting the budgets approved and helping the preliminary budgets for each one of the jails and the different programs that feed into the contract that Athena will be sending out to you. Nice to be here.
Thanks, Joe. Danielle, are you available? Is your audio connected and you can introduce yourself to the group?
I apologize. It was not connected. I'm Danielle, and I'm the interim director for the Criminal Justice Services. So good to see all your faces.
Thanks, Danielle. All right, I think we got everybody. Just real quick, I'll check in though. Anybody else from BHA that I missed? All right, cool. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We have a couple of presenters that are going to present at the beginning of this meeting. Then at the end, we have a couple of discussion items that we want to talk to everybody about. So normally after our presenters, we'll go ahead and wrap up and be done and everybody will sign off. But after our presenters today, please don't go anywhere. We have a couple of pretty important discussion items that we'd like to have everybody on the call continue with and continue to discuss with us. So if we could have everybody please type in the chat who you are, your name, where you're from, that way we can get that recorded. And then I'm gonna pass this over to Jeff. And Jeff, I do not want to butcher your last name, so I'm just gonna not say it. But Jeff is with the chef's table and he's going to present some nice information for you guys. So Jeff, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Hi, everybody. So yeah, my name is Chef Jeff Cook, believe it or not. I always start with my joke that's very old to most people, but I'm going to change my middle name to Ken, Chef Jeff Ken Cook. Now, if you all were unmuted, I'd hear laughter and applause. I get it. So anyway.
No, good stuff.
So if anybody here is a good PR person, I think I could make a lot of money just on the name. But thanks for the invite and allowing me the opportunity to share. I want to apologize first for my strobe light here. We are doing a lot of remodeling in our restaurant, so I had to find the quietest space, and that happened to be our store. So I did put my email and our website in the chat, but I just want to share a little bit about what SHEP is, and I'll share a PowerPoint here. I remember how to do all this. There we go. How do I make that? There. Apologies here, you guys. So anyway, CHEF is an acronym for Culinarians Helping Entrepreneurial Folks. Our website is chefco.org. A little bit of a history about me is I've been in the food and beverage industry for over 30 years. And I've also been in recovery for over 23 years. And I like to, when people talk about restaurants, they think, drugs and alcohol, and it's notorious for that, and it is, and so is any industry, quite frankly. But I'm here to show folks that you can stay clean and sober in the restaurant industry. I got into this industry because I needed a job, and I fell into the lifestyle, and I moved to Denver back in '99 to continue it, and I was still pretty active in my party lifestyle. And something happened in '99, and I found recovery, and I've been sober, clean and sober, since November 1st, 1999, and I stayed in the industry, and I went through a 12-step program. I stayed in the industry and realized that I had a passion for it. And throughout the years, we went through, various jobs, different types of restaurants. And then I ran into a gentleman. I hired this gentleman from another training organization. And I was very curious about it, and I hired him, and I found out he was living in a minivan with his wife and 2 kids, and this other organization helped him with training and to get a job with me at that point. So I was interested in what they were doing, and I reached out to him, and I became a volunteer. Then I was part-time, then I was full-time, and I wrote many of their programs, and they're still around today. They're a great organization. And I also taught in higher education in the hospitality department at Metro State University. I'd always had a dream of starting our own organization. And when I got to that point, my time ended at Metro State, and this other organization didn't have a position for me. I felt it was time, and came up with CHEF. Now, a friend of mine asked me, what are you going to do differently that all these other organizations in Denver are doing? And there's a lot of great ones. I highly encourage us to all partner together, but I started to think about that in a little bit. And throughout the years, I had done some research, and I had gone out to San Diego to visit Kitchens for Good about a dozen times and volunteer with them. I went out to LA Kitchens probably about 6 or 8 times to volunteer with them and to see what they were doing. They had similar programs. And I thought, I have more than two, but 2 passions in life are cooking and recovery. So I thought, how can I put these 2 together, right? And that is how CHEF came to be about. Now, we're not focused solely on just addiction or alcoholism. When we talk about recovery, we talk about the substance abuse and mental health. As you may be aware, the restaurant industry took a big hit, as many of us did, over COVID. And mental health and substance abuse in our industry really became highlighted. So partnering with other organizations, we won't turn anybody away because they're not an addict or an alcoholic. Anybody can come to our training program. What we offer with the basic culinary training program is, in the recovery aspect, really is about various items. So we have, and I'll get into the different training options we have, but around the recovery piece, I don't know of any other culinary training program in Denver that has a peer recovery coach. We have an employment coordinator and a peer recovery coach and myself right now. And so our recovery meetings are really based around, in fact, we don't bring up substance, we bring up the emotions. So maybe there's fear, stress, things like that. Now the students can bring the addiction or anything like that. But it's really open to just around the emotions. How do we deal with life today? All right, so in the recovery model, we have healthy living classes, and those are personal and employment-based classes. So we do, how do we write a personal budget? Many of our students that come to us are from halfway houses, prison, homeless, just had a bump in life, right? And so many of them haven't had a paycheck in a while. So how do we write a personal budget and then use that paycheck that we get appropriately? We also do emotional intelligence in our healthy living classes, communication, teamwork. We just did a basic nutrition class, how to shop for healthy food on a budget. So these are some things we talk about in our healthy living classes. We do recovery meetings, and again, it's around the emotions, 3 days a week. We talk about, we also do in the recovery model every Friday, and this is open to the public. We do trauma-based yoga. A lot of our students, they're not in shape, and this isn't an exercise class. It's more about stretching and mindfulness. And it was funny because we had a student that went through our 4-week training program, and he was hired at a restaurant, and he came back to us and he's like, man, this is stressful. And we're like, well, did you use any of the breathing techniques that you learned in the yoga or the recovery meetings? And he's like, oh, I forgot. And the following week he came back to us and he's like, those actually worked. So we feel that we're offering some valuable tools for the students that come in. And as I mentioned, we're really focused on the person as a whole. Yes, we do offer a job training, but we want to make sure, excuse me, that they're on solid ground before we get them into the employment world. So what we offer is for folks that have a lot of experience and again, a bump in the road, whether it was a legal issue, life issue, whatever it is, they come to us and say, I don't really need the basic training. Well, we offer a 1-week Simply Certs. They come in on Tuesday. They do their ServSafe certification. We help them with their resume, some interviewing techniques, go through some knife skills just to give them a refresh. And then we help them with job search. They don't leave us until they have employment. So that's one training that we offer. The next level we have is a 4-week training program. Same first week, they get their ServSafe certification, their resume dialed in. We go through the interview skills, knife skills, but then we get into more basic cooking skills. And here they'll actually get into our kitchen and they'll make meals from scratch. When they leave us, our goal is to have them at a level of either a prep cook or a line cook. We're not training people to be dishwashers. We don't want folks, unless they want to, we're not trying to get folks trained to go to a quick service restaurant like McDonald's or Burger King. We want to put them in an environment that works for them, so they can be successful and also be able to move up if they so choose to. Included in that 4-week training program is the recovery aspect, the healthy living classes, and then they also get paid shifts. So our training is Tuesday through Friday from 8 to 4. Those are not paid. After their first week, they're eligible for what we call experiential learning. And we actually require a minimum of 24 hours, which is about 6 hours a week. That's minimum. Most students want more hours and we offer them more hours. What this does is it gives them real life experience cooking for our customers and serving our customers. We don't have a service staff here. We have a bar staff, a barista staff. So the customers come to the counter, order, and then we bring it to their table. Our menu is from scratch for the most part. You know, we have crab cakes, we have chips and salsa, we have various sandwiches. So we really try to give them the full experience with our training. The next level that we have is we are a registered apprenticeship program. We're registered with the National Restaurant Association. Currently, we can offer a line cook apprenticeship, kitchen manager, or restaurant manager. We're getting ready, and I'll share this in a moment, but we're going to be doing a server apprenticeship as well. So we really want to focus on the whole restaurant. Again, once our students complete the 4-week program, they have the option of either just going into job search or into an apprenticeship program. And these are paid and it's full time. If we don't have the apprenticeship available, we are partnered with about 60 different apprentices in the Denver metro area that we can funnel these students into an apprenticeship program. Even though they're apprentices with us, they still are active in our recovery meetings. We don't stop them at 4 weeks. You know, if they stay with us, the apprenticeships are anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. They'll still be active in the recovery meetings, the healthy living classes, the yoga, things like that. That is what we're currently doing. We've had 4 folks go through our Simply Certs. 2 of them are employed. We've had 10 folks go through our 4-week training program. All of those have completed, and we have currently 1 official apprentice, and we're getting ready to sign up 2 more of those folks. Those folks are currently in a halfway house. We have, so right now all of our students are currently at a halfway house. The other students that have completed, we're not in halfway houses. We reach out to sober living homes. You know, again, we're pretty broad and focused on the person, the recovery aspect. Something that we're proposing to start this summer is a youth program, kids in the age of 15 to 17, and we're looking at those at-risk teens. Either they're involved in the juvenile system or potentially are in that area. What we want to offer is 3 3-week sessions, similar model. But what we're looking for with these folks is to help them get a part-time job, maybe in more like a Subway or a quick service restaurant, just to get them active and involved in jobs. But the recovery over the summer would be, we partnered with an organization called Hope Cycle, and they're offering to come in and either help the kids maintain their bike or build a bike, and they'll give them a bike. So one of the barriers that we have is transportation. So this could eliminate that. Yoga in the park, potentially, we're right on the South Platte River, so potentially learn how to fish. Some of our recovery classes will be around bullying, communication, and emotional intelligence, because we feel both in the teens and in the adults that emotional intelligence is important. All right. Something else that is in the works, and nothing's been finalized on this matter, but we're looking at possibly opening up our own restaurant that is run by students. We're currently at the Table Public House, and they're a nonprofit. Their focus is around urban gardening, urban farming. So those vegetables coming from their gardens will be used in our training and in our menu. Excuse me. We're looking at starting our own restaurant. So this would expand our apprenticeship program, and we'd be able to serve more people. Currently, in this location, we can train up to 8 to 10 people, so it's kind of small. If this restaurant goes through, we're looking at up to 20 people, if not more. And just kind of a glimpse at what we're looking at. You know, it's a real nice brick building. We want an open kitchen concept. We want the community to see our students. The community is very active with our students in this current location, so they get to work on their soft skills a little bit, but we feel that we're all about highlighting the student. It's all about them. All right. That's kind of the presentation that I have with the slides. Are there any questions?
Jeff, I actually have a question. How do you get your funding for this type of a program?
Currently, private donations and grants. And then the other piece of it is all the food sales. So anybody here that comes to eat, we get a percentage of those food sales that goes back into our training program.
That's awesome. So if somebody, there's a handful of people on this call, and they're all kind of from different parts of the state. So we have several that are in the metro area, and then there's a handful that are not. We have some rural communities, some frontier communities. How might, and this may be a discussion, a larger discussion, and maybe that's just connecting you with those individuals, but is there room for like expansion, or is there room for somebody to send somebody your way? Like, and actually, one of the questions in the chat just came up, is there a referral process? So maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, we recently, last week actually, went down to La Vista, the women's prison in Pueblo, and we did an in-house table for some folks, and these ladies were getting ready to be released, and you know, a lot of them were going to Pueblo, the Springs, and a few of them to Denver. We're talking with the folks at La Vista, because they have a brand new kitchen, about possibly doing a training there. We're open to expansion. Of course, we have to be careful with the funding, because we want to do it, you know, right. So we're open to discussion there. As far as referrals, and I did put in the chat, chefco.org, there's a button that says contact us or learn more. We'll take the person to an interest form, and they fill out that interest form, and we get their name, phone number, and email. We'll directly contact that person.
That is awesome. Is the interest form printable?
That is a great question. I do have printed versions of it. I could certainly email it out to you. The only downfall with that is if they would have to bring it to us physically. So that's why we did the link. So it just, we get a little ding on our phone, and we can respond within seconds.
So that question might have come up because the jails, the inmates typically don't have access to the internet. So, and Cassandra, if you want to chime in, I'm thinking that's maybe why you asked that question.
Yeah.
But,
So
yeah.
I guess in order for us to work with our inmates, they are not going to have, the majority of them are not going to have access to any type of internet. So having something that is actually printable that they can work on and fill out while they're still incarcerated and work on that reintegration process. And then as, somebody working with them, I can turn that in and kind of be that middle person to help them facilitate that communication and get a plan set up.
Yeah, I will email either Becky or Kelly or Joel, one of y'all, the interest form. You can share with the group. I'll also share the link just so you have it. One thing, Cassandra, that we did do, and I don't know how feasible this is for everybody, but we had two folks from actually the La Vista again. We did a Zoom interview with them because the case manager allowed them to use their computer. And again, I don't know how feasible that is for everybody, but it happened to work in that scenario. But we'll be more than happy to send that form out to you all, and you can print it. And I saw on the chat that we could scan it back to us. And then so the trick there becomes, how do we get a hold of the inmate after they fill out the interest form? I guess that would be a hurdle for us on our end.
And like in our instance, it would just be like, I would be the main contact to then facilitate that conversation. So if there's a place that we could put, like, if this is a referral, if the person is referring it through a program that is currently incarcerated, who is the case manager or somebody that can be contacted to further discuss that.
Okay. Yeah, I believe on that form there is that option. If not, we can try to add that on there for that ease. That's a great point.
And Jeff, you actually have a couple questions about that. So I think getting the getting a paper form that they can, have the inmate fill out and then send it back to you, I think that would be hugely beneficial. So yeah, let's try to facilitate that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Any other questions? And I think Jeff did put his email in the chat. If you wouldn't mind doing it again, just because we've had several more comments in the chat, if you can just put that in there. And so people can have that. I would encourage anybody who's interested in this program and to reach out to Jeff and check out the website as well.
Yeah, I put my email and website on there again. Yeah, it's certainly, feel free to reach out, and we're pretty accommodating. We're relatively new. We've been training since October, and we've been around. We've been a nonprofit for over almost 2 years, but we're learning things as we go, and this is one of those challenges. But I feel like we can figure it out as a group. So I'll definitely get you guys the interest form in paper, and we will make it happen somehow.
That's fantastic. I think I can speak for this group as a whole in that it's very much appreciated that there are people like you out there who not only have walked the same walk as a lot of the folks that you're helping, the fact that you're making a positive difference and making an impact about it, and putting your passion into this, because we all kind of know, like, it's hard for this population a lot of times, especially to find jobs and find sustainable employment. And so to be able to learn a skill like this, and have that at their disposal once they get back into the community is so important. And so I think I can speak for everybody that's here in that we appreciate your passion about this and your dedication, because I'm sure that this has not been an easy road to get all this up and going. So the fact that you've stuck with it and have made this into such a cool program. It's very impressive. So
One thing I wanted to mention, because we want to be open and upfront. The facility we're in does serve alcohol. Our students do not handle alcohol, but it is a restaurant. It is a bar. So that's something that we always are upfront with folks about. We also are a very family-friendly restaurant. So we're open to anybody as long as they don't have restrictions around kids. So we usually get that question. So that's the main 2 points is, and we'll talk to the students if they're not comfortable yet around alcohol. Let's help them. We will help them find some solid support until they are comfortable, and then bring them in. We're not going to make them, white knuckle it and grin and bear it. We want them to be to reduce the stress as much as we can, because they have enough of it. So again, we have a lot of connections with sober living homes, and if that's an avenue they're interested in, we've got partnerships. So I always like to be upfront and honest about that piece of it.
yeah, no, that's good. We appreciate that, because that is certainly an issue for a lot of the folks that could potentially be part of this. So thank you for reiterating that for sure. Well, seeing no more questions in the chat, I would encourage those of you who are here to reach out to Jeff. Like I said, check out the website. And again, thank you so much for hopping on with us and joining the call today. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the invite.
I don't know if you all remember Katie Tenhulsen. Katie used to do our data here at BHA, and Katie actually referred Jeff's program to Joel and Becky and I, and highly encouraged us to get him an audience with you all. And so it's been cool to see this happen, and I'm grateful that you're able to be with us today. So that being said, Joel, I'm going to have you introduce Robert.
Sure. All right. Hello, everyone. Our next presenter is Robert Branham with the County Sheriffs of Colorado, or CSOC. And he's going to be talking about some opportunities we've been kind of exploring with them, and just excited to hear more. So with that, Robert, go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate this. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to all of you this morning. Again, my name is Robert Branham. I am the program manager and program developer for the County Sheriffs of Colorado. We have been working with JBBS about how we can further impact our sheriff partners, develop programs to help them run their agencies to be more effective in that way. Amy Nichols, our executive director, has been a driving force in this and has really kind of charged us to be more involved community-wise as well as agency-wise. So one of the programs we came up with is an administration program for the JBBS funds. This program is not to displace anyone in rural communities. It's to basically assist those agencies who have an issue recruiting new employees, who have a problem with limited staffing, where you have a person who's maybe wearing 6 or 7 hats also running your program. We can kind of take that off of them and off of you to help you become a little bit easier to manage. So with this is we will work as the administrator to work with the program coordination group to oversee the program implementation. We'll go ahead and make training provider recommendations. If you're having issues with your current providers, we can help you vet other ones so you can make a good decision on who you want to have provide your services. We're going to assist in resolving ongoing challenges, program efficiency, and your payment for this is going to come right from your JBBS funds. So the FTE position will be paid to CSOC from your agency and not from JBBS. We're as a subcontractor in that way. Some of the things that we anticipate doing in this is going to be helping develop your work plan that supports the JBS coordination group. We're going to go ahead and participate in all the JBS quarterly meetings, provide feedback, provide reviews of things. We're going to help oversee the operations within your agency. We're also going to do site visits. Ultimately, we will go ahead and take over that part of it for you. Coming down there, working with you directly, making sure that we're available to you whenever you need us. We're going to communicate any program changes to the JBS program manager, including your staffing changes, any kind of important information like that. And then most importantly, we're going to ensure your invoices are submitted appropriately and on time, monthly as outlined in your contract. Whether you're a standalone program or part of a catchment, we want to make sure that everyone is represented equally. And we want to make sure that we are there to provide as much information and assistance to you as possible. We're going to go ahead and provide all those to behavioral health, the critical incidents, the demographics information, the numbers of the clients we're serving, types and quantities of your services delivered, the percentage of those who sexually transition to community-based services, and program discharge outcomes. So we want to really ensure that we are 100% involved in your program, and we're dedicated to serving you as a facility and an agency to make sure your inmates are getting the help they need throughout your entire program. Also, we have developed an educational program that also fits within your JBBS funds in some ways that can help your return to the community and return to normal life outside of that, by helping them get their GED programs, by helping them get their high school equivalency or adult reading classes or TABE testing. We've worked with colleges who are going to be available to do correspondence courses or in-person teaching in your facilities. So we have a great network of folks that we've been working with over the past several months that will generally help your facilities provide better services overall. As we go forward, we're doing this as a pilot program, and then our ultimate goal is to have regional technicians over different parts of the state, so they're directly related to you and you work with them and them only, from our office, as well as the folks from JBBS. So this is a new program that we're offering. We really are excited about this. We think we can have a lot of benefits for your agencies. We can take some of that stress off you, and we can make sure that we are handling things efficiently while you are still running everything that you run. Amy Nichols, I know, is on this call. Amy, do you have anything you'd like to add to this so far?
I don't have anything extra to add to it. I'm just really thrilled that we're finally getting some of these things done for our agencies who really need some help. Every time I ask about grants or funding from other sources, if any of the agencies are using them, most of them don't, because they don't have the resources to manage the funds or manage the grants. So this is something we've been wanting to take on, and now we've got Robert here to help us do that. And I'm excited for it. I hope it goes as well as we expect it to.
Excellent. And I know if there's any questions out there at all right now about anything that we're doing or anything that we can answer for you, please let us know this, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, provide any insight. We have a plethora of other programs coming out that are not JBS related that Amy we're kind of touring the state right now, making connections with our sheriff partners to roll those out, the things we hope to expect and to announce in the coming year. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. And this is an exciting opportunity, and we just wanted to again offer as many resources as we can to our jail partners in terms of how we address any of the gaps or other service needs. And so this was just kind of a cool opportunity. And so I appreciate Robert and Amy stepping up and saying, hey, we'd like to know more about that. And we kind of partnered and kind of put some heads together and tried to figure some of these things out. So, in response to what a lot of jails have mentioned about staffing and shortages and administrative burden and things like that, this just seemed like another opportunity or another option to be able to help support and supply, some of that staffing or just other resources in general, to really help out with that. So if you're interested, yes, please reach out, please ask questions, and we look forward to kind of figuring out how we can help with this.
And also just to reiterate, we are ready to step in now. So if you're struggling, if you're having issues with your programs, we can absolutely step in whenever you're needed to. I know there's some new programs coming on board that may be, starting to ramp up their operations and figure out what they need and what they don't need as far as their administrative programs are concerned. Please reach out to us and let us know. We're happy to come in and help. We've had several meetings with Joel and the staff at JBBS that we're really looking forward to putting ourselves out there in this capacity. We're definitely ready, willing, and able. We have several folks ready to jump in on this too. So we're not going to be understaffed or taxed. We have enough time and energy to focus our efforts on your communities. So that's all I have. If, like I said, feel free to reach out. Joel has our flyer. If you need more information about it, our contact information is on there, as well as the behavioral health administration stuff and what we do and what we offer for our program. So thank you so much for your time and your opportunity to speak to you, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
All right, so now, Becky, I think we're going to shift to some of the house cleaning stuff we've got, JBBS related, contract related, MAT related, things like that. So yeah, I guess if you want to start, I don't know what our first topic was.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. That was, I don't know if Robert and Amy are still on. Looks like maybe Amy at least is, but thank you, Robert, Amy. So we just wanted to provide a couple of clarifications. First, 1326, big topic, right? It's July 1st is coming up. We all need to be in compliance with 1326. So that's having all 3 MOUD medications as far as continuations and inductions possible for our clients when they come in the facility, if that's what they request. So I just want to clarify a couple of things. There's been some concerns folks about, you know, if somebody requests methadone and we don't have methadone in our community, there is no OTP to provide inductions. What we're really looking at is we're looking at what is best for that particular client, right? As always, if methadone doesn't make sense because the client lives in a community without an OTP or is going back to a community without an OTP, have that conversation with the client. Hey, it doesn't look like methadone makes sense. You need to be able to make it to the OTP this amount of times a week, this amount of times a day, you know, whether it's once a day or twice a day. If that doesn't seem feasible, if that doesn't seem possible for that particular client, and methadone may be setting that client up for failure, then we expect providers or you all to have that conversation with the client that it doesn't look like this particular medication makes sense, but, you know, fill in the blank medication, with whether it be Vivitrol or something else makes more, or Suboxone, that makes more sense. Let's talk about getting you on this medication, setting you up for success so we can transition you back to the community on a medication that is readily accessible for you when you're released from jail. So I just wanted to just clear that up a little bit because there has been some worry about access to methadone after release. And we don't want to set folks up for failure, right? We don't want to set folks up on a medication that they can't get once they're released. So just seeing if we have any questions, concerns, anything around that. Feel free to speak up, feel free to raise your hand, feel free to put it in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with.
And if this is something too, we want to continue discussing in our one-off meetings with each of you, that's totally fine as well. We have a lot of the opioid treatment programs or treatment providers around the state looking to partner and help because they do recognize that there is, you know, kind of an access issue across the state, that there isn't an OTP in every city. And so just know that it's not just you guys having to figure that out. Like, we are trying to partner with OTPs and create some of those networks to offset some of this, you know, kind of system building stuff to not only fall in the jail. We are seeing that is something we're all trying to do collaboratively. So do know that you can reach out, and we do have those questions, or we will address those questions in those meetings as well. And coordinating with OTPs that can kind of maneuver around. We've had some going out of the metro area to set up shops, you know, some of our more remote regions. So just know that is happening and they're willing to do it.
And we have had a lot of conversations with OTPs and counties. We include Ryan Mueller. He's from our office. He's our state opioid treatment authority with the BHA. We include him on a lot of those meetings because frankly, he knows a lot about this stuff and we do not. We're learning. I learn every time. I learn something new every time I'm on a meeting with him. But he's helped to clear up a lot of confusion. He's helped to clear up a lot of not even clear up, but game plan for a lot of potential situations. And so he's been really helpful to have on those meetings. If you have not met with an OTP, if you are not ready for 1326, now is really crunch time. I know we've been talking about this, and I think we've really set everybody up, and everybody should be ready to go. But if you're thinking, you know, you're worried about it and you're thinking, oh shoot, we haven't met with anybody, we don't know who our OTP is, now is the time. Now is the time to contact us. Now is the time to get connected with that OTP. We don't want to hit July 1st and all of a sudden everybody's panicking because they're not ready. We need to be ready to go by July 1st. again, questions, concerns about that? Okay, cool. What we have next, and some counties got an email about this, some not. We need to have a discussion around our MAT funding. So this is related to 1326 because it's related to our funding. But an email went out last week regarding our GAE. So where we're at for next fiscal year, I know there's been kind of a delay in our contracts going out. And the reason why there's been a delay with our contracts going out is there's been some confusion and some discussion on our end about what our MAT funding is going to look like next fiscal year. So we are all on the same page. We will not have a GAE next fiscal year. So for the past 3 years, we have had a general accounting encumbrance that everybody has had access to. This year, it started at 1.4-ish million. And then we bumped it up to around 1.6-ish million. And that was included in those amendments for everybody. And everybody had access to those funds as a GAE. So that means that everybody could dip into those funds as needed, but we provided a soft cap for everybody to keep everybody within budget. That will not be the case next fiscal year. So we will not have just a general line for everybody to dip into as needed and provide soft caps. We were hoping that we would have our TA funds that come from 1326. So just a little bit of background, 1326 allocates roughly $3 million. It's 2.95 or something, Joel. So we're just rounding up in discussions to 3 million because it's easier to say. So $3 million for TA funds for jails for MAT treatment. So those TA funds can be used for medications, for delivery of medications, provider time, anything MAT related, those funds can be used for. Originally, we had that set up as a GAE, and that was also in your amendment from this year, that was set up as a GAE. We can no longer do a GAE. So that is not going to be a GAE for next year. That is going to be a written line within your contract. So for example, if you have your SUD and mental health funds that are JBBS, and you have, let's say, $150,000 budget, and then you request MAT funding of say $10,000, just as an example, that'll be a second line on your contract. So we will no longer have this ability to just move funds around as we need to, because we're going to have these written into the contract. I feel like I'm missing something here, Joel. Anything that you can point out that I'm missing?
Just the piece that this was, federal SLRF ARPA funding.
Thank you.
That's, originally we had thought, like Becky said, that we were going to have our traditional MAT GAE, kind of aside from the normal JBBS contracted funds, and then this would be another line for those that wanted the TA specifically. But because of not having that and having this be essentially all MAT funding all in one, it is still federal dollars, so there is reporting requirements involved. And so for anybody using MAT, through these funds, this will be where we bill it towards. And so it'll look relatively similar on your invoice, but there will be a reporting requirement. We are working with Sam to kind of identify what that can look like, or what that will look like, and what that administrative burden will look like in terms of the reporting on a quarterly basis. So we know this is one of those things where initially we thought it was going one way and it has changed. And so we are working diligently to minimize any of that fallout and convey any of the templates or anything else that's going to be needed in terms of utilizing this funding, because we recognize that we do not want MAT services to fall off the year that we have a really big MAT legislation forcing jails to implement and expand. So just know that we will be working with you very closely on whatever that looks like your needs. Joe, looks like you got your hands up.
One sec, Joe, if I could just step in real quick, and I don't want to interrupt, but I just want everybody to know, so we had communication go out a while back. Do you want the TA funding or do you not want the TA funding, right? We had a lot of jails say, yeah, we're good, we can go ahead and take it. And then we had some jails say, no, we do not want it. So things have changed now, right? If you don't take the TA funding, there will be no separate MAT funding for your jail. So you've got a couple options. If you decide to take the TA funds, then you'll go ahead and we can write that into your contract, and that can be your MAT funding. If you decide not to take the TA funds, that's fine, but your MAT funding will either have to come out of your JBBS budget, so SUD, mental health, pre-sentence, whatever you have in JBBS, or it will have to come out of your jail's budget. There will be no separate funding format other than the GAE, or excuse me, I'm sorry, other than the TA or your JBBS funds. So go ahead, Joe.
So I just want to, Joe Asen, budget analyst, working with Athena, Sam, and your three managers, Becky, Kelly, and Joel. We're preparing the budgets now. Like Becky was saying, there will not be GAEs. You'll see a line item on that one-page yellow and blue budget that you normally get. One line will say SUD, one will say mental health, one will say pre-sentencing. But they will not have GAEs that we were accustomed to last year. Instead, this budget coming out, you'll be able to look and see that just about all the jails got an increase in their budgets for SUD and mental health and pre-sentencing. So we do have extra money and an increase that you can use out of those line items for MAT. So everybody's budget did increase. So we do have a little bit of a safety net in your line items that you can certainly use for MAT. Now, the other GAE that we're not going to put in this $3 million, as Joel was saying, these are federal funds. This is Joe Biden money from the American Rescue Plan Act. This has to be spent. It's a one-time deal. So we have to have this 2.9 million or close to 3 million spent by the end of June 30th, 2024. So as Joel and Becky were saying, if you want some of these funds, please respond to that. We'll have to make a judgment call. The statute says it has to be offered to everyone. So there's a lot of people coming back. I think we had 25 of the jails say, yes, we want some of this. We had 12 jails that said no, and we're still waiting for 11 answers, either yes or no, for the other jails. There is going to be a budget true up, so to speak, after Q1. So by the end of October, when you get your September invoices, and we're going to look at exactly how much you've spent versus your budget. And at that point, we're going to start to move money around. And if for one reason you couldn't spend money, you wanted to hire someone and they weren't available and there's money left, we will start doing amendments. At that time, when we start doing amendments, you will have basically another chance to take a bite of that TA, that technical assistance, federal money, that a bite of that apple, and whatever we have and wherever the need is based on your need, we'll move that money around in order to get it spent by June 30th. So if you're saying no now, we're going to have another chance of you saying yes if you change your mind sometime in October. So we do have a little flexibility, and we'll be doing that via amendments. So if we do get an amendment, please try to get it signed as quickly as possible, because the jails that we will be reducing will be the money that we give to the other jails that need the funds. That's it.
Thank you, Joe. Sam, is there anything that you would like to add here that maybe we have forgotten or anything? I wanted to give you a chance to speak, since ultimately you are tracking those funds as well.
No, I don't think I have anything to add. Everything has been really clear, but I'm happy to answer questions as they come up for folks.
Cool, thank you. We'll see what comes up while we're talking here. So as Joe said, we have not heard from everybody. We need to hear from everybody whether or not you want those TA funds no later than tomorrow. Honestly, we would like to hear today. If you can get back to us today, we need to set our budget, and right now we're pretty close to that 3 million, and so we're going to have to more than likely lower some of the requests that have already come in order to balance that budget. So the quicker we receive your responses, the better. I know from my jails, I've heard from most of you. I went ahead and reached out to the few I haven't heard already. I know Joel and Christy manage their counties a little bit differently, but please reach out to one of us. You can reach out. It doesn't matter. You can reach out to me, Joe, or Kelly, or Joel, excuse me, or Kelly. Let us know what you would like, how much you're asking for, and then just know that we may have to adjust that amount based off the budget. But as Joe said, we will be looking at our spending in October, and we'll adjust with amendments if we need to. We have a question from Lieutenant Church from Elbert County. What can federal funds be used for? What are the restrictions? Question. So those funds are not as flexible as our GAE has been in the past, right? We've been able to really supplement our GAE and use that for mental health, use that for substance abuse, use the GAE first for MAT, and then supplement with other things if we needed to. That is not the case with these funds. These are MAT. This is for MAT. So you cannot use these funds for mental health materials, substance use materials, those types of things. These funds are for MAT treatment. So medications, delivery of medications, provider time. We've discussed using funds if you need to expand a med window, whatever it is related to MAT, you can use those funds for. Does that make sense for everybody? I apologize. I have a nose running issue that I'm trying to take care of.
And just to add, Becky, real quick, that's actually, you have a list of allowable expenses on that blue and yellow budget form that everybody gets that needs to be signed, that's in the contract. That one pager that's in there on page 65 of 80 pages or something like that. So there is a list of allowable expenses that you can reference.
Thanks, Joe. So with that said, that's the information. I know it's a lot, and I know we need to know right away who wants these funds. If we have already heard from you about these funds, we don't need to hear again. If you've said yes, we got you down as a yes, and we've got your ask again, we may need to adjust it a little bit. If you have said no and have changed your mind, we need to hear. If we have not heard from you, we need to hear. So please, 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 it is very important. I can say this a million times. It's super important. We need to hear from you all today. We need to hear from you all no later than tomorrow, preferably today and before the end of the day tomorrow at the latest, because I know you guys may need to go back and talk with your folks about this, but this is super important. I don't want anybody to lose out on funds that need funds. Yes, we will be doing spending reviews again in October, but if you need these funds right away, starting July 1st, and they aren't available, we cannot guarantee that funds will be available in October. We just can't guarantee it. Some counties may be underspent and we can go ahead and move those funds around, but that's not a guarantee at this point. So really, if you want these funds, now's really a good time to let us know that you do.
And the reason why we need them so quickly is there has to be a line item in your budget for them. So that's kind of holding up the budgets to go out to you folks for next year. That's all I think.
Questions, concerns? So Ruby is asking, sorry to clarify, is the TA money a part the settlement money or only the American Rescue Plan Act? So I don't know if I can answer that question. Sam, can you answer that question?
I didn't really fully understand what you were reading. It looks like maybe that was a chat directly.
Oh, shoot, it was directly to me. Apologize. Let me put it in the chat for everybody to see. There we go. Sorry about that. Did not notice the direct me. Sorry, Ruby.
It's not a settlement. It's an additional funding that the legislature gave from HB 221326. And it was supposed to go to,
It's an appropriation of ARPA money. So it's from the American Rescue Plan Act. It's appropriation from there.
And it needs to be made available to all the jails. So that's why we're asking for your response. We understand that some jails don't want it at all. That's great, but we've offered it to you. And then again, we'll be able to offer whatever we have left out of that one pot of money in October.
Good questions, everybody. Looks like Ruby got her question answered. What other questions? What other concerns? Now's your time. You can, again, you can feel free to email us. But now's a good time, especially since we have Sam and Joe here. Yes, Rita.
Yes, just to clarify, will we know exactly what the budget line item is fairly soon?
Yes. So we can get your budget out to you. So shoot me an email, Rita. Shoot me and Kelly an email, and we will talk to you about your budgets. We can just, so those budgets for JBBS are set, right? So your mental health pre-sentence, SUD, your regular JBBS, we call it your contracted funds, because we've had this GAE, those are set. We're good to go with those. So Rita, shoot us an email. If you have a question, everybody else, if you have a question about what your budget is, please shoot us an email. Those, we're now pretty confident in saying we're good to go on those. And then you can kind of make that decision from there on, hey, this is our budget. And do we need the TA funds or not based off of what our budget is? Yeah. So yeah, shoot us an email right now, Rita, and we can respond right away.
Okay, so explain the TA funds again and how they relate to the MAT.
Yeah, so 1326, so Senate Bill 1326, there's a section in there that specifically allocates $3 million from the ARPA funds to JBBS for medication-assisted treatment technical assistance. So that is straight out of the legislation. And that funding can be used for, like we said, any MAT expenses. So we can look at what expenses are allocated, but generally, like we've talked about, MAT meds, MAT provider time, if it's related to MAT, we can pay for it. Anything that the GAE was related to MAT, we can pay for here out of the TA funds.
Which we've done in the past.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And so really we're just switching pots and no longer have a GAE. It's going to be specifically allocated funds. So instead of, hey, Rita, your county has this rough $10,000, just as an example, right? If you need more, we can go ahead and more than likely, if there's more, we can give it to you. Instead of that philosophy with this money, it's going to be specifically written in your contract what you have to spend.
Yeah, so similar to the other lines that you allocate a specific amount versus, like Becky said, a soft cap that has flexibility, this will be a set amount that you'll start with. And then in addition to that, because of the federal funding, I don't know, Sam, if you want to speak to like what that reporting looks like or kind of what other pieces are entailed because of the way this funding is coming in.
Yeah, so and we can certainly provide, if someone has specific questions, we can provide some of that in writing as well, just so you can see. But SLFRF, the state and local fiscal recovery funds, in addition to normal reporting with your quarterly reports and submitting invoices in the normal reporting, this is federal funds. And so it requires a quarterly workbook, which is submitted, which is a spreadsheet that Joel mentioned earlier, a spreadsheet that we would provide you that you'll literally like drop in numbers on and information based on the funding that you use. And there'll be some performance metrics in there, like number of people served or different performance metrics specific to this funding. And then additionally, this is federal funds. And so if you expend over $750,000 of federal funds within one fiscal year, then you are required to do an audit, either a single audit or different kind of audit, depending on how much federal funds your organization or your jail or county is expending.
Yeah, we do that as a nonprofit for our grants, the federal grants. We identify our MAT patients upon booking. So in our data, as we have shared with the JBBS, we're anticipating 86% of the population will qualify for the MAT program, which is quite extensive. So the funding we were talking about may not and probably will not be adequate. I know I just got an email from CMS requesting information about Medicaid going into the jails. Is that something that's going to happen soon to help with the funding issues?
That's not something I can speak to.
Go ahead, Sam.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just saying that's not something that I can speak to.
I can speak a little to that. One of the reasons why it looks different this year from in previous years is we do have federal money. In the past, all of the JBBS programs were funded with general funds, cash funds, and reappropriated funds. And what I mean by the reappropriated, we get money from the Correctional Treatment Board. Well, last year they cut us down by $650,000 for this coming year's budget. So that's a challenge for us. The other thing that compounded this year is we have 5 new jails that are participating in this program. When you add them all up together, we allocated about $750,000. So when you put those two together, that's where the crunch is coming from. To address your concern, Rita, about funding for FY25, yeah, we're well aware of it, and we are looking for new funding streams, because the one thing we want to do is keep this program growing. And there's going to be discussions around the mental health and substance use block grants. But those grants that we get, they're federal money as well. So we're losing a lot of the general money that we had flexibility with to fund this program. So next, we're going to be looking at, okay, where can we get some other funding streams from? And that's going to be the feds and some of our programs. So we're going to be working that out for next year's budget. But keep in mind, this 24 budget, you will see an increase in your substance use and mental health line items. Everybody will be getting an increase. So consider that to use for MAT as well.
Okay, so maybe on the provider end, we can use those line items, and then maybe the medications, because we want to try and switch to the Sublocade injectables, because that's once a month, and we don't have to have so much labor involved with detention and medical. So on a daily basis to do med rounds, because it's so specific with the Suboxone. So maybe that's where we could offset it then, is we can put maybe some of that in the provider piece. So more of the MAT will be medication.
The MAT will be medication.
Rita, are you just saying that you can use the MAT fund, you can use SUD mental health to supplement MAT funding? Is that all you're asking?
Yeah, like maybe the provider piece goes into the mental health on JBBS, and we can target to have the MAT piece be more of the medication, because Sublocade's much more expensive.
Yes, you can, as long as it fits within that budget that we've set. Yes, you can use, our other funds, so our regular JBBS funds are still very flexible. So as always, we have been able to use those funds for MAT, for anything related to MAT. So that will continue. The only real difference is the MAT is more specialized now, right? So we can't be more flexible with the MAT funding, but we can be more flexible with our mental health, SUD, pre-sentence, your regular JBBS funds, as long as it fits within your budget, right? So we don't want to go over budget. We still need to stay within that budget. But again, there may be room to move things around in October, because we will be doing that spending review in October. So there may be room to move things around depending on other counties' spending. So again, that's not guaranteed though, right? We don't want to overspend completely in the first few months of the year, and then that extra funding is not available, but that may be a possibility around October.
But I also want to throw into the other line that is not flexible is the competency enhancement program funding. That all has to stay pretty siloed, because as those of you that we're going to be having that in your contract this year, that was going to go over to the Office of Civil and Forensic Mental Health, and that did not happen. It stayed with JBBS. That still needs to stay siloed and focused for just CEP services. So that's one of the other line items that is very strict as far as where the money can go. But as Becky said, mental health, SUD, pre-sentence coordination, those are all pretty flexible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
our
you.
goal, oh, you're welcome. Our goal is to try to spend every penny of this budget and get it out there. And that's why we're trying to move the money around in October once we see how your spending patterns are. So it's important to get those monthly invoices in to Becky, Joel, and Kelly by the 15th of the next month. I know some of the bigger counties, it's tough too with the accounting departments to get them going. The state has the same issues. We understand. That's the goal. We don't want to go over, but we certainly want to spend every single penny of it and get it to where the ones who need these resources.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rhea. Good questions. Appreciate it. What other questions? Looks like Hannah also mentioned that she can be a resource for any questions about Medicaid in the jails. She posted her email address in the chat as well. So thank you, Hannah. Appreciate that.
Oh, Hannah, you're the one. Hannah's the one that sent me the email. I'm going to be doing your survey, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, what other questions, what other concerns? I've already gotten a couple of emails from folks during this meeting, so I haven't gotten to those yet, but I will. So I appreciate everybody emailing me. What else? What questions, concerns around this? We've got time and you've got everybody on the call that could answer questions right now. Now's your best time. All right, I'm gonna say it one more time. All right, and last chance. Okay, if questions or concerns do come up, if you'd like to, I apologize about the delay on communicating budgets. I know I told my counties that I was hoping to get their budget amounts to two and a half weeks ago. So we apologize for the confusion. We apologize for the delay. Thank you everybody for bearing with us. Please email me and I can go ahead and communicate your budget, or email Joel and Kelly. They can communicate your budget to you for next fiscal year, and email any questions that you have. Please, again, reach out to us today if you can about the TA money. And I think Joel, Kelly, was that everything for today?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so. And again, we'll continue to have questions and answers with our jails as we meet with you guys individually. Please, reach out, bring this up, or we're happy to meet. Make sure this is all hunky-dory and clear when we move forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for being here today. I hope we got some good information out of our two presenters today. If you'd like more information about those presenters as well, please feel free to email us. We can pass on. I had a couple of emails already asking for the CSOC flyer. I did pass that on. Looks like Tim Salazar, do you have questions for us or do you have questions for Hannah? Hannah, got it. All right, so shoot Hannah some emails if you've got questions about Medicaid in the jails as well. As always, feel free to CC us on those emails. We try to partner with as many other agencies as we can. And it looks like we got one more thing from Joe. Joe, you got your hand up.
No, I'm sorry, that was the clapping.
Yeah, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Thank you, everybody.
Disrupting the end of the meeting. Come on.
Right.
So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Every year is never the same with these contracts. We get different colors of money and different restrictions. So bear with us as we go through this. And if you need the money, we're going to do our best to get it to you.
Thanks, Joe. And we did have one more quick question in the chat. Update on comp enhancement budgets. Yes. So real quick, I know Joel just mentioned it really fast. So comp enhancement, technically, if you have comp enhancement, the budgets are staying with JBBS. I know there's been a lot of confusion about that. We were originally going to go those budgets and the program was going to go under forensics. There were some mishaps with that as well. So the budget is going to stay with JBBS, but the program management is going to stay with forensics. So we are working with Christina O'Neill. She's Amanda Myers is leaving. So Christina O'Neill is going to be interim director of that team. We're working with Christina on how we can manage the budget, invoicing, and they will manage the program aspect. So your budget has been set by them, but it will be written into your JBBS contract. So those 10, 11 jails that have comp enhancement, you will see a comp enhancement line on your JBBS contract, but you will work with Christina's team to manage that program. If there is a question about your comp enhancement budget, go ahead and email us. We do have those numbers and we can give you those numbers as well.
Yeah, Dr. McMillan, I know you sent an email. I spoke to Jessica Patterson yesterday. Yeah, we can look at that. I know Christina and I were planning on reaching out to the competency enhancement jails just to kind of speak to the specifics of each of the requests, kind of based on what our budgets are overall. So yeah, we will be reaching out shortly to answer those questions. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go one more time. Questions, concerns? All right, I see none. So we're going to go ahead and we'll give you your time back. Thank you everybody so much for being here. Thank you for your understanding with everything going on and with the delays. We will be getting contracts out shortly, so be looking for those and email us today if you need anything or have questions about your budget. So thank you everybody. Appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thanks all.